Hey, good morning or good afternoon depending on when you're watching this video. Today I'm going to show you the very basics of how to make a 3D printed part. So in front of you right here I got a 3D printer. So I got this printer on eBay for about 100 bucks and it was straight from China. It took about a month to come in and this is what I got. So it came in, I believe it was either 1 or 2 boxes and all the parts were just, flat boxed. So I had to put everything together. So this right here is called the carriage. It moves back and forth. This right here is the bed. It moves back and forth as well. And then right here would be your Z-axis, which moves up and down. Over here is the power supply for the machine. Right here is a MOSFET and another MOSFET for the extruder and for the heated bed. This is more or less a safety thing. And then over here, you get the main board, and you get the most important thing that you guys will need is you get your SD card reader right here. And so let's get into that. So I have these 4 bonsai trees that are just starting, and I kind of wanted to make something cooler, or not really cooler, but I just wanted to 3D print something, and this is fairly simple. So I'll show you guys how to do it using some free software that I know about. So what I'm gonna do is just make a very basic 3D printed cup. So I'm just gonna get some very basic dimensions of this thing. Depending on how accurate you wanna be, you can use tape measure. It doesn't really matter. So now I got some very general dimensions, and now I need to put it into CAD. And I need to be able to make an STL file. Once you have an STL file, you can use your splicer program to then 3D print it. And I'll show you that in the next step. Okay, so the next step is gonna involve going onto your computer. This is a software that I use because it's free and it's the closest thing for me to SolidWorks or Inventor. All you have to do is go to Google and type in Onshape. And once you're here, just create an account. And then up here, there's a little orange thing, it says sign in. Okay, I'm gonna come over here and click create. I'm gonna create a document and I'm gonna name it a tree holder. And I always like to do revisions, so do revision 0 because it's the first one. And since this is the free version, all your documents you make are public, but in all reality, who cares, You're not really making, like a nuclear bomb or something, but okay. So now you have your 3 different planes. So you start off by looking at it. For me, I'm looking at it, I think of it as 2 different ways to do it. Either I can make this base right here, and then I can have a tapered extrude up that distance. Or even more simpler is I can come right here and make a line here as like one of the axes. And then what I will do is I will say, okay, this right here to right here is what I need to make. And I forgot to grab a thickness, so I'm just gonna use a very generic thickness. I'm gonna use 1/8. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this design right here. I'm gonna make a straight line, I'm gonna make an angled line, make another straight line, make an angled line back here, then go back straight, then go back here, and then make a construction line straight down here. And once I'm ready, I'm gonna get this part right here and I'm gonna revolve it around this axis, and then that will make the cup. If that's like too much, just understand that over the time of making a lot of things, you'll figure out easier ways to make stuff, and it just comes with practice, so just keep practicing. So since I'm gonna do a revolve, I'm either gonna use the front or the right side, and I prefer to use the right side, so I'm gonna right click and click new sketch. You'll see that a sketch 1 has appeared. If you'd like, you can rename this over here. So then I click the right over here, so I'm looking directly at the right side now. So I'm gonna start off by coming up here to the top, and I'm gonna click this line tool. So I'm gonna click this line tool, come to this center point, and this is important, and click on it, then click up. Doesn't matter where. Then come over here on your keyboard and click escape, so you're not drawing another line. Now right click that line and click construction. So now I clicked out of it, and now I have a construction line over here. the right plane. If you want, you can go ahead and just go to about 1 inch, then go to about 2 5/8. Okay, so I made those two to start with. Made this line, then this line. So first I'm going to dimension this. This is 1 inch. So this line right here, as you can see, it's all blacked out. Let me zoom in some. Oh, too much. Oh, I need the touchpad. Okay, as you can see, since it's all blacked out, it's fully defined. Now what's not defined is this blue line. So you want to come over here to the top of this line, click that button, or sorry, click that dot, click the center line again, come down here to the far right, click 2.625 on your numbers. Okay, and it's still not fully defined because it doesn't know this angle. So I'm just gonna make an angle because this looks okay to me. So it's 101, so I'm gonna just do a flat 100. Okay, so now I'm gonna come over here and click escape just to make sure I'm not doing anything. The next tool I'm gonna use is this offset tool. So right up here, you'll see it says offset. And I'm gonna wanna offset these two entities. Right here, and then it's asking me over here in the red the axes that I want to do. So I'm going to click on axes and I'm going to click on this, and boom, your part has been created. So then to make sure everything's good, I'm going to click check. So now we made this basic cup. So next what I'm going to do is come over here to where it says Part Studio 1. I'm gonna right click it and I'm gonna click export. I'm gonna name it again, tree, what is it, holder? No, I did a tree holder. Oh, sorry, I called it a tree stand for some reason. Tree stand, vision 0. The units are in inches, and this will cause some problems sometimes, so I'm gonna click OK. So now, it exported it as a .stl file, which is what you need for your splicing software. I have mine set up where Cura is the only program to open up STL files for me, so I'm gonna click on that. It's gonna open it up in Cura, and that's the program I'm gonna use to splice. Okay, so I'm gonna make Cura full screen now. And as you can see, it imported it, but that thing is small. Super small. You probably can't even see it. Well, it's this right here. Okay, so when you come across this issue where you import your file and you know it's not the correct size, you're gonna want to come over here to this right here and click on it, and you'll want to change the percentage. Most of the time it's either, for me, it's either 1000 or it's 2540. And the 2540 is just conversion between, you know, imperial and metric. So right here I see that, you know, it's telling me that the red is X direction, so it's 74.3 millimeter. The Y is 74.3 millimeter. And then the Z axis up and down is 66.675. So a quick double check would be, go back to your original drawing, it's right here, on Onshape, click this OD right here or right here, doesn't matter, just click one of them and then come down to the bottom, you know, and I just use the arrows up and down and move it around. Click the bottom and it tells you right here the center line distance apart. So it's 2.625. And then what you do is you get 2.625 and you multiply it by 25.4 and you get 66.675. So that's what it should be in millimeters in the Z direction. And it is 66.675 in the Z direction. So to me, this is to scale like I wanted it to be. And the next step is to splice it. And very briefly, so the main things you want to look at for this are the layer height, For my nozzle size, I would use between 0.1 and 0.35 millimeter. Next thing would be the infill. I would recommend or highly recommend using about 15% or 20% depending on what you're making. Next thing is the printing temperature. You can find that on your filament. This one says between 215 and 230. Typically what I'll do is I'll add these two numbers together and divide them by 2 and use it. Right now this green color that I'm using is printing really well at 220. The next thing is the build plate temperature. Typically for PLA it's about 60 degrees Celsius. I do 62 just in case the fan kicks on or gets this gust of cold air. It doesn't drop below 60. And lastly, here's supports if you need it. This one doesn't really need supports. So then we got the build plate adhesion. Highly recommend using a skirt. So once you do all that and you get your settings decent, just go ahead and click splice. So now it's going to splice it. Down here it tells you it's going to take 3 hours and 6 minutes. It's going to use 39 grams of filament or 13.01 meters. Okay, cool. So what you're going to want to do next is grab your SD card for this computer. Of course, the newer computers don't have SD slots or even USB slots, so I'm going to plug it in. So now that I plugged it in, right here it says save to removable, and you can come over here and you can see that it's called A8 Tree Stand Revision 0. That's the name of the file. If you'd like to change this, just type over whatever you want. Then I'm going to save it. So I'm going to click save and click eject. I'm going to wait for the save to removal to disappear. Okay, so now it disappeared, and now I'm able to take my stuff. So shutting it and then just going to pull it out. So now I got my SD card. So I'm not going to be printing with this one because right now I'm messing with this one. I'm going to be printing with my enclosed one over here. So step 1 is to insert your SD card. Mine's on the back of this enclosure, so I went ahead and did do that. You're next going to want to plug in your power supply, and then my printer's older, so it has that rattling sound. So I'm gonna come into the settings up here, and there's not really a good way for you guys to see this, but down and find the preheat PLA, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start preheating the PLA. Okay guys, so far I've showed you all the very basics of the 3D printer. I've showed you how to make a part online in an STL format and then convert it to a G-code splice program. Now the printer is heating up, and lastly what you're going to want to do is after you wait about 5-10 minutes for the bed to get heated up, you're going to want to make sure that this bed is completely level. Otherwise you'll have like uneven layer, or it might not extrude in some sections, or it could even dig into the bed because the bed is too high. I'll show you in another video how to do that, but that should be enough for you guys to start printing. So once it gets to temp, you're gonna wanna come back up here and you're gonna wanna find that file that you have, and you're gonna wanna start the print and wait for it. And then in 3 hours, you'll have your finished part. So if you guys have any questions, please leave them down below. I do plan to follow up with a couple more videos. Thank you guys, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day. Bye.